they're continuing to milk this hardware for as long as they can. Probably just long enough to hopefully break, PS2 numbers or something like that. I think
Oh
that's their end
gosh.
game. It's just like, well, we're already pot committed. Let's try to make this thing the number one thing. F the fans. Who cares? We're gonna make history, and they're just gonna deal with it. And they're gonna be so happy to, by the time this comes out, to get a PS4 piece of hardware. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. With me, as always, is the gentleman who can't stop messing with his nose on camera, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good. I do a bump before the show starts to, get myself in the zone, and it just creates problems for me sometimes. So, yeah,
A little Texas sweet tea.
a little bit of that
You know,
Bolivian booger sugar. uh,
yeah. So how have
yeah,
you been since last?
yeah. It's good. I've been good. I've been okay. Um, things are fine. Everything's fine. How are you, Joe?
All I can see you is being at the meme at the dinner table with the fire all around you. Everything's fine.
That is
Uh,
literally the background. That is literally the desktop background on my computer at work. I have that picture saved of the dog in the burning building.
that
Yeah,
checks out.
yeah. So
Uh,
I'm doing good. I I've been very busy with different things, and it's been a wild ride.
All right, yeah, and I've been with my family. We've kind of taken the kids out of daycare and such, spending time with visiting extended family for the last week. A little holiday, kind of impromptu, but kind of needed. And yeah, it's more exhausting than ever. So it's one of those, you need a holiday from your holiday kind of deal, but
Oh yeah.
uh, got to instill those core memories into my children, and try to hopefully, like, when I kick it, they'll be like, "Yeah, dad, let us have a good time." That's the hope, right? I mean, my kid saw a gazebo on the TV and was like, "We went there yesterday, right? We played around during the night." I'm like, "That was last winter, child, during the park's like illumination at night deal." But I'm like, he remembers that like as a memory. I'm like, dude, we went once, and that was literally last December.
Gosh,
So I was like, that's impressive.
time must have no meaning. I feel like
Well, I just
everything.
don't think he understands the concept of yesterday or tomorrow necessarily, because it's like, he also says, "I want to ask you a question," and proceeds to tell me stuff. And I'm like, he just wants to get my attention and then talk to me. I'm like, all right. So I'm trying to, do you want to ask
Interesting.
me something? Like, he doesn't quite understand the term ask. He just knows that is something you say to get someone's attention, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, you wanna tell me something?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." But yeah, the fact that, like I said, the little dude has a good memory on him, and I was like, it's impressive. I'm like, "Oh, shoot. Alright, now I gotta really be careful what I say and do around you, right?" Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it's been good, just super tiring, and the kids got to have some fun with the grandparents and, extended, so good stuff. And now, yeah, on to the news. What have you got for us, man?
Um, Cartoon Network shuts down, shutting down their website. Apparently, they're still playing. They still have something on TV for 11 hours of a day. Not really sure about that, but yeah, Cartoon Network, as we knew it, is no more. Um, WB is the ones that own them, and they are saying that they're not making as much money as they used to in general. So they're shutting down Cartoon Network. I guess. I guess because that's maybe the thing that's not performing as well as they would like, um, which kind of makes sense. I was telling you before the show that I was like, yeah, I guess first people who are going to stop watching live TV, or linear TV is the term that I think that they used in one of the articles I saw, is going to be the young people, the youngest people, um, you know, uh, like I think Zoomers and now Gen Alpha, which is getting into I guess watching TV and stuff, or getting into being old enough to decide what cartoons and stuff that they watch. They are probably all on devices, tablets, YouTube, um, and streaming services and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, they're probably just really not getting a lot of the same people watching. Their key demographic is probably going to be 12 and under, and those are probably the ones that are not really going to be watching as much. So anyway, it's just kind of sad because a lot of people grew up watching Cartoon Network quite a bit. I did not. I did not have. I had cable, but for some reason our cable package did not have Cartoon Network until I was a little older, until I was almost a teenager, and so I didn't really watch much Cartoon Network proper, like Cow and Chicken, Ed, and Eddie, and all those. I watched mostly Adult Swim stuff, which was very formative to me. But yeah, I guess that is also going to be no more as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna work with the Adult Swim, but I do know that Cartoon Network was a big part of my like summer childhood because my family would visit my grandparents and they lived in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, and they had a satellite dish, like a big boy, we're talking just monstrous satellite dish that when punched in a channel, you would watch it rotate 180 degrees.
Wow.
And yeah, you're able to get like the one Japanese channel and stuff, and just crazy international channels. But that one, they had that had Cartoon Network, and that was like that's how I ingested most of my like I guess the really old stuff from like Hanna Barbera, things that no one would remember or like have reference to.
Hmm.
A lot of Johnny Quest and stuff like that too.
Johnny Quest.
But
Wow.
yeah, for sure, like just a lot of really weird stuff. I mean, but yeah, that was one of those things that it kind of saved my summer because I didn't have any video games and there was no other kids because we're in the middle of a farm field, like there's nothing,
Yeah.
uh, and they didn't have any cool stuff to play with, like you know, uh, equipment or tractors or anything like that. It was just they just had a nice little plot of land out in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm bored out of my mind. It was that my Game Boy that had just like three
Ooh,
games and no color.
gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty miserable. So yeah, thank you, Cartoon Network, for saving my sanity. Uh, and yeah, that's kind of it. It's like, yeah, I know that Cartoon Network or Adult Swim is still doing stuff because they just released the Rick and Morty anime.
Oh, they work.
Like,
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with them, but it might be through streaming service. I'm curious also about how much like maybe Nickelodeon has kind of taken over for all that. So
yeah, I don't know. Because like Uzumaki is supposed to come out fairly soon. I think it's an anime. And that was supposed to be, I think, airing on Adult Swim. Could be wrong. Could be on something else, but I thought it was Adult Swim. Anyway, so yeah, I am curious. Maybe I mean I honestly haven't heard anything about whether or not Adult Swim is gonna like what they're gonna be doing or whatever. So maybe they are separate and they're gonna go somewhere else and do something else. But um, uh, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like all this stuff is maybe it won't die completely, but it's certainly gonna change. And I feel like there's something there's some of the magic that's kind of lost when you don't have linear TV, uh, like on demand stuff. You can check stuff out, but it's not the same as like being up at 2 a.m. and turning on Adult Swim or whatever, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and turning on Cartoon Network or Toonami or whatever was on at the time, and being like literally having nothing else to do and having to uh, watch what it is and not being like, oh, I don't like this. I'm going to just change the channel, or I'm going to go do something else, or I'm going to go change to a different YouTube video or whatever. It's like, well, I know there's nothing else that's good on. So I don't even know what this is, but I'm going to give it a try. I don't know. I feel like that happens way less nowadays. Definitely to me.
Yeah, but we also I feel like it's I understand and I agree with you. There's a certain kind of there's good and bad to that. Like it's great to magically discover something you never would have found if it just wasn't randomly thrown on TV. But at the same time, uh, the ability of reviews and like, getting a score to something like I have no idea, but everyone seems to be talking about X, Y, or Z. I'm gonna give it a shot. And it's like if now if you're interested in a specific genre of movie, you can be like, yeah, I really want to see I'm really curious about, I don't know, uh anything about space, time, anything about time travel, give me that, and then you can just
Yeah,
instantly pull up a list. Beforehand, there's very few things you could do to actually look up a curated list of something like that, and you'd have to talk to most of your friends, and you couldn't see it on demand. You'd have to
yeah,
hunt it for a VHS or a DVD or something like that. That was, so with everything at your fingertips, yeah, that you just it's a lot more convenient. But I remember reading a post or something, someone commenting on kids today, thanks to like either on demand or like a TiVo or some sort of pause recording function, will never have the understanding of running like on a commercial break to the microwave to set your popcorn, then running to the bathroom, come back, grab your drink, grab your snack, and then make it into your seat before the program starts back up again.
and
You
now
know,
our program continues. Yeah.
yeah, or if you come too late and like, oh, what did I miss? And then you have to try to, while the scenes are going on, someone else is trying to have to explain to you.
Uh,
Um,
that I mean
yeah,
that
it's
is
just
freaking horrible. I guess you just kind of get used to it. Also, I don't know. Like I was a pretty avid TV watcher, but I think most people that don't have entertainment podcasts, um, they don't care. Like I've been at plenty of people's houses where they really don't care what they watch. They don't really care how far it is in. They don't care if you tell them. They don't care if they tell you the spoilers. They ask questions out loud. They just like there's no sanctity. There's like no sanctity of what you're watching at a lot of people in a lot of people's houses, in a lot of people's minds. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess people didn't really like miss that. But you're right. There's something to be said about on demand stuff that you can pause, do what you got to do, and then come back to it. Is is pretty nice.
It
Yeah.
used to drive my father up the wall when my mother would come in halfway through a movie we were watching, and then she would start asking all these questions about the first half of the movie, and then he just pauses, he's like and he would just lose his mind. It was hilarious because 'cause he'd just be like, "You do this every time, just like, we invite you to sit down and watch the movie with us, you have 0 interest,
Hmm.
and then you come in through halfway through and you just start like" he's like, "Let us watch the movie, please." You know?
Yep. I have several people in my life that I can think of that do exactly that same freaking thing, and yeah, eventually you just have to plan around it and be like, okay, I'm not gonna watch anything good that I know is gonna be good while they are here or could be here. I'm going to save that for when they're not here, so that I don't have to deal with that. But it's just some people are just like that, man. It's messed up. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. I felt like those things, which you wouldn't get everything. Maybe it's a bit bottlenecked, and there's probably more stuff that can survive now, or more stuff that gets made now. But I feel like Cartoon Network did a pretty good job of curating that kind of stuff and showing you, and like Adult Swim and stuff, showing you, hey, this was good, and we're going to put it on our network, and so you got exposed to stuff that is good, was good, but you wouldn't have otherwise seen. Now, like I go on YouTube, and algorithm, oh, we're going to algorithm the crap out of you, and there's so much stuff on that's on demand that is like 4 million views on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, and it's in a vein, then it's like that I kind of already like, and I click on it, and I'm like, and it's like 5 minutes, and I'm like, this is dog shit. This is this. I understand why it has so many views, but it's also dog shit. Um, it's just it's just you know clickbaited and designed to extract time from you rather than actually entertain you. Um, and
Yeah, well, I will say that Captain Caveman did not enrich my life a single bit. So, Cartoon Network, thanks for wasting that one, and, like, Secret Squirrel, Secret Agent Squirrel?
Hey,
Yep, no
they
no
can't all
need for that knowledge
they
whatsoever,
can't all be
but yet I
winners.
have those core memories. No, a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff was just trash, but,
Yeah,
I mean, it was either that or I literally watched, like, the grass grow.
I guess
That and
I
I
guess what
gave up cable. I gave up cable because I forget. I was like, we were watching one of our apartments after getting married. We're like, all right, let's have cable, and we ended up watching like coming across an episode of Simpsons, like an old one that wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad episode, but it was nothing special. And we knew the episode very well because we've seen it multiple times as growing up and on reruns. And we just kind of wasted the evening just watching like that and a few other episodes of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't. We're not getting anything new out of this. We could I mean, in that sense, playing a game is far more enriching just because 'cause you're getting a new experience, or at least you're doing something.
yeah.
And it's like, this is, of course, before smartphones, um, and or this around the same time as, the smartphones just started, like, literally the first Apple. And, yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just after that experience, we're like, "All right, maybe we don't need it," and since then had pretty much just strictly, like, whatever antenna TV or,
Yeah.
you'd get and slash, just internet. Internet will find what we need, what we want, and once again, if anyone's talking about something or there's a super big event, we would find a way to watch it one way or the other, so
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as someone, I have cable theoretically, but it is a incredibly tiny package, and
that's what she said.
yeah, yeah. That's dang, I knew that one was coming, but I looked at it one time when I first got it, and I was like, wait, this is cable? Like this is what I'm paying for? And it's like through the apartment complex, so I have to pay for it. It's like $50 a month, and it is like nothing. It is like there's there's like not even ESPN. Um, so I have to work on that, but it's just like that. Anyway, there's plenty of reasons to get rid of cable for that stuff, but at the same time, I do think that there's some value in humans, even suits, humans doing curation of what you're watching, and it's just kind of sad to see it go. But yeah, rest in peace, Cartoon Network. Uh, you you impacted all of our childhoods for better or worse.
Alright. What else you got?
So, Last of Us season 2 actress Caitlin Dever, she's playing the character Abby. Required extra security when she was filming the show. No one is saying why exactly yet, at least not as far as I've seen. But some of the hints that I have seen in some of the quotes is that maybe there was a weird person around, um, or whatever. I didn't play Last of Us 2. I don't know about the character Abby. Apparently there's plenty of hate for her by gamers or whatever. Um, and anyway, so I would like to know more about this. I would like to know more about why she required extra security. I would like to know why the people that are talking about this are being kind of cagey about it, because that seems to be the way that it's being talked about, is like people are weird, or yeah, she required extra security, and it's just sort of okay. So I don't know. I'm just kind of dubious about it. And but it so that's kind of the main thing that I wanted to say, I guess, because I'm kind of just like, like what is this? Is it a real thing? Is it not a real thing? What happened? Um, so
I
yeah,
hope it's not crazy fandom, like fanboys being stupid, like, 'cause that would be terrible. It's a bad image all around, if that's the case. I would rather have it just be some straight up stalker, as sad as that is,
For
like
the actress.
yeah,
Yeah, rather
I
than
mean, I feel I wouldn't you don't want that for them, but at the same time, it's just like, it's just one crazy person on their own obsession, not like but if it turns out some gamer who's angry about the character, the things that she does, or the fact that, they just don't like the second and third acts of, the second game, uh yeah,
that seems to
that just
be
makes everyone look bad. That just really makes everyone else look bad, and that is probably the case, unfortunately.
that seems
It's
to be
just
what
like
they're alluding to, because the friend of the actress is the one who was saying this. I don't have the article pulled up, but she was like that she was saying, she had to have extra security, and then she was sort of it sounded sort of an exasperated sort of quote, saying something along the lines of, Abby is a character, guys. She's a character in a video game and now a TV show, not a real person, not a real person. And so it seems like the latter that you're talking about. That is,
it happens enough too, and that's the sad part is because, a lot of times people will be very upset with movies, TV series, like, and video games, just like they're angry at a fictitious thing that doesn't matter, and, like, especially when actors play, like, the one, Joffrey, Game of Thrones, like,
yeah,
he had death threats and he's just a kid. He's just a kid playing a role, and people are threatening to kill, like, a minor. I'm like, eh, that's messed up. That there's no just because, like, you do realize this whole world of dragons and fantasy is all BS, right? You gotta know that, and if you don't, then please seek help, because it's just
people
the
just
box the box in front of you is not a magic portal. I mean, it feels like it may be the whole point is escapism, but good gracious. I mean, and that's people get threats for all the time for, different characters, and there's no reason for it.
yeah, it's people are weird. There's a lot of weirdos out there, but so we will continue to monitor the situation and probably forget about it.
And by modder, hopefully that it pops up in a general news feed so we can see it. Um,
Yeah,
and Nick doesn't gloss over it because Nick does all the news. So if you get
yeah.
any problems, bring it up with
S-
him.
Strong chance that I'm going to gloss over it, unless it's really big. Well, I hope it doesn't get big. Honestly, I hope it just goes away. Not in like a go away kind of way, but in a there's no more problems kind of way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully they catch the person and hopefully it doesn't get escalated. So yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
All right, next up, Black Ops 6 download size should be smaller, says the developer, um, Activision, whatever. So smaller, by like a megabyte. We'll see. So it
I mean,
should,
even ten gigs isn't that much smaller in the grand scheme of things. So
yeah, it should be smaller than the last one. So that's kind of a joke headline I thought I'd bring up. What are they, like 150 gigs or something crazy like that? Uh,
I'm looking it up right now because I
it's
forget. I
half
mean,
a
they're over
terabyte.
100, and so that's why I was just, uh,
They should
according to I
start
just
selling.
quickly looked up Modern Warfare 3, and it says PC version of the game requires 213 gigs.
They
I mean,
should.
granted, it's because
They
you're
should
downloading
start.
the online stuff.
They should
So
start selling terabyte hard drives with copies of of Call of Duty. I mean, that is that's what I would do if I was like GameStop or something. I'd be like, and like $10 off of our 500 gigabyte hard drive, because you're gonna need it to install this game. Anyway, so I saw that. I thought it was funny that they were hedging that, saying, "Hey guys, it's going to be a little smaller this time." Um, so good for them. Good for them. Are you planning to play Black Ops 6?
I only played the first 2 Black Ops games, so I've stepped away from all the others. No clue about the story at all. Unfortunately, it's to be honest, I would actually like them to do the, remake treatment like they did for Modern Warfare, because I generally like the Modern Warfare campaigns. I played the original, 2, and so with this one, I played the, uh, the new Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. And
Okay.
granted, the 3 was, everyone was angry because it was a bit shorter, and it was a little less directed. Um, and it looks like here, just real quick, it says PlayStation, Xbox. The two consoles require almost 140 gigs of disk space, so it is smaller for the consoles at least.
That is so
But
huge,
yes,
though, man.
it is massive. I remember when I played, Modern Warfare 3 that it was over 100 gigs, and like I said, take away 10 gigs out of that's so if it's 130, it's still less than 10, it's not even 10%, smaller size.
But it's
So,
still less. It's less than it
yeah, it's
was.
crazy. So who knows? I'm curious what they do. What they need to do is literally separate the the online stuff. I know you can download and prioritize
Yeah.
just online or just the campaign, and
They should take out
uh,
they should take out one icon's JPEG asset and then it's smaller, guys, but can you guys figure out what we took out to make it smaller? And there's like a massive hunt, nationwide hunt for what they took out to make it smaller, and you like win a hard drive if if you can find it.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Though I do have to say the previous Black Ops games, or the first 2 that I played, were really solid, and I've heard good things about the other one since. I'm sure this one will be just as fun, but once again, I'm a campaign person, so I don't care about online.
Yeah.
And I know you're not a big fan of any of them, but the Black Ops ones, I think if I remember correctly, they still had the zombies stuff, which for playing with friends, like the zombie horde mode stuff, which is always really good. And they have a good production value behind it. They get big name actors, actresses to voice and do mocap and stuff like that, or to at least provide their looks to it.
Yeah.
Um, so they kind of go the extra mile on that, and I appreciated that, even though I never really did it because I got burned out with the zombie stuff a long time ago, and once again I just stopped playing the Black Ops stuff. So hopefully, like I said, I think hopefully it'll do good for for them because Xbox can't be afforded. Like we don't want them to shut down any more studios. Come on, guys. So
Oh
even
yeah.
if they do good, they're still but
If
all
they
right,
don't, they might do good, but will they do good enough to survive?
for sure.
Yeah. So next up, The Plucky Squire coming to PS Plus day one on September 17th. So this is a Devolver Digital published game. I forget the developer. It said in the thing, but
This is the book one.
yeah, it's kind of they call it trippy. They're like a trippy looking. It's like a Zelda like sort of game, and it has different ones. Like there's like a coloring book aspect, and then you can go into like a 3D. There's like a 3D Toy Story type.
It, like, it breaks, like, the fourth wall, literally,
I think
from
so.
their point of view. If it goes from a book to the desk tabletop, if I remember correctly, into, like, another, image, like, painting or something like that, so it's kinda transitioning. It kinda reminded me of, kinda something like The Puppeteer back in the day or something like that for the PS3.
Right.
So that's cool.
So
That's nice day 1 get.
yeah, yeah. So probably wouldn't have picked up this game. Otherwise maybe like on sale or something. It does look interesting, but maybe not quite that interesting. But since it's on PS Plus day one, that is actually very enticing for me. So I'll almost certainly download it, and then see how I like it. But yeah, so it's a nice little get for
So,
PS Plus.
what tier do you have to be on that? Did it say?
I didn't look at the thing, but you like see
So it's probably extra. I mean,
because
it could be premium, not 100% sure because I know they have some of their good stuff. Like their VR stuff is only on premium for
yeah,
stuff like that, and which makes kind of no sense to me. I think it should be available in extras for the
it
VR stuff.
it might be. I don't think I have it pulled up still, but yeah, I imagine Extra will get it. But
Extra got Animal Well day one, or so like hopefully this will be a similar situation.
yeah, the premium. I mean, there are plenty of things that are on premium that are not on extra, but most of it has to do with, hey, you can stream this now, or you get or like there's not a
Their
whole lot of,
legacy stuff.
yeah, there's not a whole lot of like, hey, you'd have zero access to this on extra, but you have full access to it on the ultra premium or whatever. So anyway, yeah, like I think it'll probably be at least on extra, which will be pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
Um,
What else you got?
last two little things. This one doesn't have to do with video games per se, but I just found it interesting. A Russian chess pro um, was arrested for allegedly poisoning her opponent with mercury. So there's a video. So these are two lady chess players, and she is. There's video of her coming into the area and and rubbing something or messing around with her opponent's area of the chessboard. And this is obviously with nobody in there. And so so what happened is the other girl during one of her matches started complaining of feeling sick and stuff. So apparently she just got the mercury like on her fingers and stuff because I thought, oh, she put it in her drink or something, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like it was just rubbed on. If the video is in fact showing that, and it looks like it was just rubbed on the area that she was going to be putting her hands a lot. So she got nauseous and got some kind of mercury poisoning, and then it had to basically like stop or whatever, and then and they figured it out. And then also the woman who's being accused of this, the previous day or at least earlier that day, sometime earlier, she had asked if there was security footage in that room or security cameras in that room, and she was told that there were not, uh, which is like that's okay, weird. Like why would you ask that? I mean, if you want to find out, feel like you want to find out without having to literally ask. But anyway, so that was just kind of funny. I feel like you're always hearing, like, I don't know about you, but I feel like you're always hearing weird stuff from chess players. Like, there's a while ago there was a guy that they thought, I don't know if it was proven true, but they thought that he had a a vibrating thing in one of his body cavities that would vibrate from a remote helper to help him decide what chess moves to make. And that was odd. So anyway, there's a chess is like a kind of a cutthroat little world there, and I just saw this and I was like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some joke in there about like the real Queen's Gambit or something. I don't know. I never watched it, so
Yeah, you're probably right. There
you're the
probably is.
Netflix guy, so
Probably is. That was a good show. That was a pretty good show. Last thing, developers are told not to expect the Nintendo Switch 2 until after April 2025. I was coming from Video Games Chronicle. I saw it on. So yeah. So our long national nightmare continues at least through April 2025. I really thought they were going to try to get it out before the end of the fiscal year in March, so they could have that. But it seems like they don't care, or don't need to, or it's not ready, or whatever. But if it's not until after the fiscal year, I have no idea. I would say that if it's not before the end of the fiscal year, then all bets are off as to when it's coming out, and I would suspect that it wouldn't be out until Christmas. That's just the way that I think. It's either March or it's September, October, just in time for Christmas. So I don't know, but yeah, that is a little bit more about the Nintendo Switch 2 that you're not going to get for a while yet.
yeah, but they don't really have a lot lined up in the near future. Yeah, so it makes sense to push it back a little bit to have a bigger lineup ready to launch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just yeah, launching in first. What was it? If you launching in the first quarter of the year, yes, it looks good for fiscal numbers, but at the same time, it's a rough time to do it because that's where traditionally you'd send games out to die. you know,
Yeah.
or it's just it makes more sense at the best to do end of second quarter or something like around summertime. Kids on break have extra time to play more. They'd be more bored, want to hopefully buy stuff, or like the fall, the end of fall when it comes to prepping for Christmas time, and yeah, either one of those makes the most sense. So yeah, I mean, it's just they're continuing to milk this hardware for as long as they can, probably just long enough to hopefully break, PS2 numbers or something like that. I think
Oh
that's their end
gosh.
game. It's just like, well, we're already pot committed. Let's try to make this thing the number one thing. F the fans. Who cares? We're gonna make history, and they're just gonna deal with it, and they're gonna be so happy to by the time this comes out to get a PS4 piece of hardware, in 2025. Uh, they're gonna thank us for it.
20,
Watch. All the fans will be so happy.
2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably, I don't know. It's just, it's Nintendo. It's just, it's sort of baffling. It's like, what are they doing? What are they must not need it that bad, or are they just waiting for enough good games to come out for the new system? Which honestly, I mean, play devil's advocate here. If it comes out in, let's say it came out in November of this year with no games, versus June of next year or something weird like that with 3, 4, 5 good, like, hey, I really kind of want to play that, games, and maybe one or two of those 3 or 4 that are like, hey, I really got to play this. Um, then it's like, yeah, I may as well wait, because like if it's not going to happen till June anyway, then why buy a system that I'm not going to even play at all until that point? So there's probably a mix there of like, we don't need to do it, and we also need to wait until we have the right enough of the right games that are coming out. It's probably a mix of those things, but yeah, just a little bit longer.
All right. And last bit,
So that's it
is
for the
that it
news.
for the news? All right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Good luck with the Nintendo wait. I've given up on Nintendo, so I mean, I'll
That's
buy it
the
again. I'm guaranteed to buy it just because my kids will want it, and I'm not going to be the guy to deprive my kids of
I
games.
mean, yeah, but I mean, you also have a video game podcast that you're on. You kind of,
I've let you handle Nintendo for the last
but you
year, and
still
all you
have a
talked about is
Switch.
Zelda.
You still have a Switch. Like it's kind of like, I can understand if you have a PC, um, and not an Xbox, and I just feel like Switch, PlayStation, and a PC or Xbox, you kind of got to have those three. I know for a long time I didn't have like a PS5, but like I just wasn't a real podcaster then. Like I was just a fake phony boy. So I feel like if you're gonna have a podcast about video games, you kind of got to have the main groups represented. Um, I wish I had an Xbox, but if I do get something like that, it'll just be Game Pass, because it's like, why, why why else? I wish I could afford an Xbox. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, I think it'll be good for you to get the Switch 2, even if you don't end up playing it all that much.
I'll wait until the Switch 2 OLED, which will be like 6 years from now.
You'll wait until the Switch 2 OLED, and then I'll just give you my old Switch and buy the Switch 2 OLED.
You know what? That
Yeah.
works for me.
And you're like,
Game. All
yeah,
right, cool.
that's actually, I don't need no freaking OLED screen if it's free.
I mean, that's the right price, right? I mean, I ain't above that, but at the same time, then I only have to wait even less because they'll come out with a color variant or like a special edition. You're like, yeah, I had to buy that one too,
Mhm.
and I'm like, yes,
And then you're
score.
sucked in.
All right. Well, because I've been spending all the time with family, I have not really had any time to play any games. So that's kind of been, yep, the one
Jo-
shortcoming of the weekend. Got to
Joe's
talk a lot about games,
Joe's really
but
been going for the
uh,
Father of the Year award. And it's so yeah, games have taken a hit on that. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
yeah, but I did get a mug out of it, so I'm good. Uh, yes, but you have been able to play a little bit of something. So why don't you let us know what that was?
Yeah, I didn't get to play too much, but I played a little bit of a game called Dredge. I'm pretty sure I didn't buy this game outright. I know I didn't buy it outright, and I'm pretty sure. And I'm playing it on PlayStation. I'm pretty sure it was on. It was one of the games for the PS Plus. I had seen that this game. I think it's on Extra. Um, as like a as like a downloadable thing. And I had seen on one of the review sites that I was perusing, some review guy was like, this game is actually really good. He was very he was praising it quite a bit. I think he was saying it was one of the better games he played this year. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. Especially since it was already on my plan. So this game is it's a uh, like a 3D uh, game, 3D third person, where the whole thing is you're a you're a boat, and you go. I mean, you're a person, but you pilot a boat, and you go around, and you are a fisherman. So the game starts out with, "Hey, weird stuff happened, and you lost your old boat, and now here's a new one, and you owe money on it, and so you have to go make money to pay off the boat and also eat and stuff like that." And so you go out during the day and you catch fish, and then as the day ends, um, the fog rolls in, and they tell you all this, like immediately. They're like, once the fog rolls in, you need to go back to port, or else weird things start to happen. And so I was like, okay. So basically, you go out and you try to catch different kinds of fish, and you have different kinds of reels that are made for different areas. So you have like like a coastal reel. You have like shallow, and then you have like oceanic, and then you have your hold, like how much fish you can hold on board at one time. The fish are also different shaped, so you can only fit so many of a certain kind, and you have to kind of make choices, based off of that. But pretty early on, and I'm not very far in, but pretty early on, it does start to hint that it's not just like a regular, like, oh, go out and fish and then come back and make money. Um, it's not just that. Of course, there's upgrades and stuff, but the story is a little bit. It's a little bit. There's some weird stuff going on, and people that you meet have different kind of different problems, and there's like a mystery with a lot of them, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good little game that I rather enjoy so far. Very chill. Um, Not like a really good pick up and play, and kind of see what's around the next corner of the coastline. Do this little thing or do that little thing, uh, yeah, it's I don't know how much more I'm going to play of it, because I want to get to some other stuff, but it's definitely something that if you have a chance to play it for cheap or for free or whatever, or you're on PS Plus, I think it's definitely worth trying out for anybody that is into a game kind of like what I described. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You ever try Sunless Sea?
Uh, I looked at that a lot, and almost bought it a bunch of times on sale, and it just seemed too reedy, too much reading for me. But
Yeah, so that's what the first vibe I got off of Dredge was like. It was like the light version, both in tone and just in general, like complexity. Not saying that it would be bad. New Dredge was bad. In fact, it's one of the only games I've actually like, liked or put on my wish list for Steam in a very long time. The But yeah, Sunless Sea, like I remember playing that one, and that one gets really weird real fast, and it's just I think you'd actually like it because it has that level of kind of like weird and difficultness that you have to like work through. Uh, you know, you playing games like Frostpunk,
yeah,
stuff like that, liking that difficulty spike, as it were. I mean, uh, I think it would work pretty well for you. And if you kind of like, the idea of, oh, well, you're on a fishing boat in the sea, a lot of weird things since, the dawn of, voyaging. It's always been the unknown, right? And thanks to Cthulhu and everything else, like, your mind plays tricks on you, just like if you wander the desert. So
yeah,
I can see weird things happening in these type of games, and it's not uncommon. But it also, I I like the color palette of Dredge way better. It makes it
yeah.
look because that was the thing is, obviously, Sunless Sea, it's in the name, sunless, but it was just always too oppressive, and I
It's
mean,
a
that's the whole point, though, like,
it's a good
that
idea,
game it
but it's a good idea. But the screenshots that I did see of Sunless Sea, it's like okay, this is kind of color palette wise, yeah, just kind of bland looking. Looks like a lot of reading, and I had heard really good things about it though, but it just was like yeah, it was just not quite for me, and also having to pay for it or whatever. Whereas Dredge just heard it was pretty good, dropped it in my lap, and that makes it easier to just well, I'll give this a try, and I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, maybe after I'm finished with this, I might on the next Steam sale, maybe finally, because Sunless Sea has got to be what like 10 years old. It's all it's pretty old, so I'm sure
I
it's
ended up getting
cheap.
it for free somehow, and I don't even remember how, but I just
I
remember
feel like
that's
it was
how
on
I played
Humble
it.
Bundle or something like that for a minute, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be free or very very cheap in the very near future. So I might grab that and just poke at it just to follow up on this. But yeah, yeah, I think you would probably I think you'd probably enjoy Dredge a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and say you're gonna finish it, but I think you might like it.
Alright. Though the one game I had gotten a chance to play a little bit over time, but and it just touched here and there was, Zenless Zone Zero. So, it's the gotcha game that's been on you can play on the PlayStation or I think any console or at least the Xbox and PC and, PS5. So,
I think it's everywhere.
it
Maybe
yeah,
not Switch yet, but I'm pretty sure it's
that's
on
why
phones
I
and
had to
everything.
reiterate because I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's on Switch. But it probably I wouldn't be surprised if it's on last gen consoles either. Like,
probably will be.
it's, it's a decent, one of these gotcha games. It has, I personally I'm enjoying it more than with the first Descendant, but I think it's because the combat was a little more fulfilling. It's it's an action. It looks like a stylish action game. The thing is, it is made simple
Hmm.
is and not and I don't mean that to sound like an insult. It's so when think stylish action, you might be thinking of something like a Devil May Cry, and DMC gets really complex. It's just like you have a real decent combo system. This is very much a my first one of those, or it's like almost like the Dragon Ball Z fighters of with fighters with a Z. So they have that kind of combo system where you just like smash a single button and you'll start rolling into a combo. So this kind of does something similar where it's like it it looks flashy as hell, and
Yeah,
like you only have to know a few simple things to do, and it's a little more on the feels a little more button mashy, but it makes everything look really good, and it's kind of satisfying in that own it's like hits the right neurons, so it does that for you. It does the gotcha thing where you can get new characters, and the story is unique enough. It's just to lump sum it up real quick is just like, kind of a post-apocalyptic world-ish. Like cities have um, a foreign menace that like attacks them, and it becomes like a little mini dome of like different time and space or different space. So if you get in there and you're in there too long, you can get like poisoned to the point where you turn into like a monster. Um, and your person, you're a brother sister combo, so you can choose between your gender, and lets you you essentially help navigate through these spaces. And I cannot remember the name of what they're called right off the top of my head, but essentially
They called
you go
zones.
retrieve.
Sorry.
Probably no, but there's something else. Like everyone has a specific name for all these, um, things, and I'm like, it's one of those things that like the beginning of this game, much like I talked to you about before about manga and all that stuff, is like
Mhm.
if it's an isekai or something, you just learn to smash through like a lot of the dialogue. I'm like, I don't really need to know. I'll figure out what I need.
It's all the
You're
same.
giving me a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's one of those things that eventually I'm like, oh crap. All right, what currency is what, and how do I get that currency? I'll figure that out later. But yeah, it's fun enough for what it is. It looks really good. It's voice acted pretty well. So if you're into anime and stuff like that, you'll recognize a ton of voices. It's done in English and I presume other languages, but I just only listen to it in English. And yeah, I like it. It's like I said, it's not going to be. I'm specifically playing it on my PS5. Apparently, it can be on your phone, but it takes like a just astronomical amount of space, like 20 gigs or something plus. Um, yeah, it's something crazy. At least I tried. I had like 10 gigs free, and it wouldn't. It said I didn't have enough space.
Whoa.
So I was like, that's crazy, but okay.
I mean, like, I
So
have Genshin Impact or whatever on my phone, and I mean, it's always updating and stuff, but I don't think it. I don't know. I don't remember it taking that much, but I know it's a pretty big game, and
I played Third Impact from Hoyo, and it was okay, but my polls were super trash, and to the point where, like, I got pitied from, my nieces and nephews. They're looking at me like, "I can't believe that's you've been polling that." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I told you before that. My luck is really bad with RNG." And they didn't believe me until they saw it, and so they kind of I got sympathy from them in that one. I'm
yeah,
like, "Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm bouncing. I don't have enough time to waste on this." And I'm also eating up a lot of phone. Uh,
yeah. I mean,
and yeah, so
because like Zenless Zone Zero is it not from this? Yeah, it's from the same
Hoyo,
people
it's part of the Hoyoverse, yeah.
that did
Genshin Impact,
Genshin and
they did,
Honkai Star
the
Rail.
Honkai Star Rail is the
Because
newest
like,
one.
because
Yeah,
like that,
and Third Impact was before that.
yeah, because like, yeah, because like, Genshin was like I feel like their big breakout, where it's like, hey, this game's actually pretty dang good, um, at least to me anyway. And then Honkai Star Rail came out not all that long ago, and then so when Zenless Zone Zero was coming out, I was like, dang, that's like a lot of big games. I mean, I don't know how big they are in comparison to Genshin or whatever, but I feel like it was the time between Genshin and Honkai was quite a bit. So I was surprised that Zenless Zone would be coming out so soon after Honkai. But maybe it's not as short a time period between those as it feels like to me. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but anyway,
It is it is a different style game too, though, so,
okay,
that is,
an aspect to it.
there's that. But once again, it's enjoyable for if you like those kinda games, and, if you're just kind of on the fence, but you're a fan of, like, anime aesthetic, then there you go. While, like, First Descendant was kind of, CG, more realistic, as it were, uh, but that was also monetized to high heaven, in a negative way. I find that,
Yeah,
uh, Zenless Zone Zero is a little bit easier to get into. I never pay money into these things, like, yeah, I just once again, usually because I don't like, if, I haven't gotten far enough into the story to really
yeah,
feel that, like, it's worth it, I guess. Like, if a game I can understand if, you play a lot and you're really enjoying your time with it, and you wanna give something back to the developers, and,
yeah.
then you buy whatever the best value, currency is.
Yeah.
But usually with these games, it's like I'm interested in them. I kind of want to know the story, but then you start gating me like in the higher level areas, you start gating like you have to be pulling or you have to have really good gear or really good people. And because my RNG is so bad when I try to get the gotcha characters, uh, it's pointless. And so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna pay good money to get trash, essentially
Yeah.
is what
I'm
it
not gonna
is.
pay money
But
for
then but
random
then at the same
rolls.
time, if you're giving me everything good, then there's no incentive, right?
Yeah. I
Other
mean,
than a tip jar,
I mean,
so
I haven't played Genshin that much, but I have played, I don't know, 5 or 10 hours, something like that. And um, I never felt like I had to buy anything until maybe the last time that I put it down. I think I was starting to run into some areas where I was like, not like high level enough or whatever. So I was having to kind of start the phase, I guess, of being like, oh, I need to go here instead. I want to go here, but I really not leveled right or whatever. So that seems to me like the beginning of it. Like they're first going to level gate you a little bit, and then once you break through that, then it's gonna be like, okay, now it's time to kind of give some money up, because that's what I heard back when it first came out, was like it's a really good game except for all of the gotcha, or all of the money aspects of it, the free to play aspects of it. Um, so, but I hadn't really run into it that much, but I was curious about Zenless Zone Zero. And I didn't think that you were gonna keep. I don't know how long you're gonna keep playing it, but I didn't think you'd be playing it this long. So I might. So I did just go ahead and
it's
download
an
it.
on and off. It's a quick, easy pickup. Like, that's what I find it it's one of those things that I don't got a lot of time, but I can quick, do a run, as it were, and do a couple little things here and there. That's kind of how I've been playing it. I haven't really sat down and played, like, an hour, 2 hours straight or anything like that. It's very much I don't really it fits that gap of I wanna play something just instead of just staring at my phone or scrolling through, like, nothing,
Yeah.
or I don't necessarily have the time to commit to like a long real game. So this kind of fits that niche, and it's kind of fun. It has a lot of silly stuff. You know, the two main characters, they run a video store, and so there's a bunch of stupid fun fake movies, and you can restock that,
Mm,
or you get stuff like that. So
that's kind of
it's
cool.
just I'm always a fan of like fake movies, fake products. Like especially when they make spoof of something.
You do like that, yeah.
Um, yeah, so if not in this, but I forget what it was, but, like, one of the ones I always remember was instead of Mad Max, it was just, like it's, like, Angry Guy or something like that, but it was, like, almost the same shot,
Angry
you
Adam or
know?
something like that.
Yeah, it was just like, "Yeah, it's alright," I appreciate something, like, or if you have, like, a clearly Terminator ripoff or something like that, but you have a different name. Um, but yeah, that's it. So, that was kind of the one thing I kind of hadn't been talking about, but I wanted to I waited for a bit, and I'm like, "Alright, this is a good time to talk about it," because I'm making slow progress, essentially is what it is, but I
Yeah,
you can easily make if you just sit down and dedicate yourself to it, I feel like you can probably burn through a lot of it real quick.
I imagine, yeah.
Also, something I didn't think about with other gotcha games, and I kind of like, "Oh, you know what? That's obvious, and I'm really dumb for not doing it," was, uh just look up that game, whatever game you're playing, and then just look up that slash codes to see what like free things or
Mm,
promos are running, and that way you can get a lot of the free currency. I'm like, you know what? Because this one of the things when the first game first came out and I saw it everywhere was like 180 pulls or something like that. Um, and I'm like, that seems cool. And then the promo thing that they had for that didn't work for me. But it did give me something else. So much other currency. But when I looked it up, then I found you can easily find websites that just have the list of these are the current ones, and then these are the ones that are not working. I'm like, okay, that's great. So I mean, next time you play Genshin, you might just want to see what kind of promos are running and get yourself a bunch of whatever currency they got, and maybe just give yourself a little more fun time there. So
yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool.
all right. So, what have you been watching, sir?
So, uh, I had this movie that they had on Netflix a while ago, and I was like, "Oh, that looks kind of interesting, but also looks kind of boring." Finally fired it up. It is a movie called In the Tall Grass, and it's based on a novella by Stephen King, and I think his name's Joe Hill. I forget the other. It's Joe something, and I forget the last name. But basically, Stephen King and this other guy wrote this novella together, and then they made a movie about it called In the Tall Grass, and it is. I think the trailer basically shows you that these people go out, um, basically go walking in this tall grass. It's grass that's like, you know, 6.5, 7 feet tall. So you can't.
So it's like a corn maze, but just grass
It's
instead. So
yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's yeah. It's like a corn maze, but grass instead. So
so
and then
you're
weird.
gonna get the Jurassic Park view, right? Where you see like the raptors run through, you see the cut grass being mowed, like where people are running.
Kind of yeah, there's quite a bit of that going on. Uh so it's like it's so basically what the trailer will show you is people go out in this tall grass area, and then they can't get out. um and uh and so the way that it begins is these people pull over on the side of the road because of reasons, and they're about to leave again, and they hear a child yelling help from inside the tall grass, and they don't know anything about it yet, and so they go into it, and then lots of stuff happens, things get weird, and there is a resolution of one kind or another. But it was pretty good. It is a good mystery, and it adds. It's like, hey, this thing happens, and then that's weird, and this thing happens. So without spoiling it, like any more than that, it was definitely worth my time. I think it came out like in 21 or something like that. But
2019 is
oh,
what Rotten Tomatoes is telling me.
2019. It was pretty good. It was pretty good all the way around. Um, and and I definitely enjoyed it. If you're into that kind of stuff, Stephen King, or just weird movies, wasn't too much on the jump scares, so that I'm very very appreciative of. I think there was like one or two that things that were kind of jump scary, but besides that, there wasn't really any more. Um, and just all around, pretty dang good little movie. So yeah, if you're looking for something horror esque or just sort of weird to watch, then I think I could recommend it. I think I recommend it. It's pretty good.
All right. Um, yeah.
What have you been
You
watching, Joe?
I was gonna say, yeah. We just don't go to Rotten Tomatoes, if you agree with me.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
mean, I don't even know what the Rotten Tomatoes is. I mean, it's not definitely not perfect. I'm sure it's panned in some
they're actually
degree.
really close. The fan and the critic reviews are actually pretty lined up, pretty similar, which is unusual for Rotten Tomatoes, I think. But yeah,
Well,
the fans gave it a 33 and a percent, and the critics gave it a 36.
I don't think
So
that's really fair. That's pretty rough.
there's a
30s.
1,000 plus reviews of fans and 75 reviews of critics, whatever that means. But yeah,
uh,
though I think that you're usually nicer to movies than I am. I think that's the key.
there's a
Um,
lot of movies that Rotten Tomatoes likes that are garbage.
well, I was gonna say when it comes
Too.
to
So,
comes to critics and like the fans, like I will usually hate on a film, but the fan score is usually like, nope, okay, apparently I'm the weird one because all the people seem to love it, and I'm the weird one for hating it. That's usually the case with for me. But I'm usually like I said, I judge harsher, I think. Um,
I mean,
and
yeah, like I mean, this movie is not going to, I mean,
I hadn't
wow
even heard of
you
it,
or
so
amaze you. This movie's not going to wow you or amaze you. I mean, I only heard of it like a little while ago. Um, but, you know, I mean, like, I don't even know. I guess it was was it a theater movie? I think it was a Netflix movie. So, you know, it's right for that. I've definitely seen worse stuff that has better Rotten
Alright.
Tomatoes scores. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, one that I don't know that I've recently watched as of like today, which I can't necessarily recommend at this moment, is the Rick and Morty the anime. So I didn't know this was. I stopped watching Rick and Morty uh, quite a while ago. I think season three or something like that. Season three or four. Not. I think they just ended the season, and I just never picked it back up. Like I liked it up until then. I hated the first handful of episodes, only because it took me a while to get used to the um, Rick's character, just the sounds that he makes and everything. Just I'm like, it wasn't funny to me. Uh, but later on in the series, especially like the later seasons, they have a continuity in there that I just never expected them to have, and it was pretty amazing actually. I really genuinely like the story to that up until like season three or four, and the anime. I just saw this. I'm like, I'm going to have to give this a shot. And what little I looked into it was apparently there's supposed to be like 10 episodes coming out, I guess. Um, and it doesn't, they stick really close to the original art style, but they do anime a fight or something. It's just like, it's kind of it feels like the Western, like, take on anime. So it's like but they do like, the opening I really like the opening cutscene or the theme song. I don't like the theme song, but I appreciate the visuals because they seem to make tropes of every anime, the course of whatever, the always, flying through the air, always facing to the left side of the screen, just all these other stupid things, and I'm like, "That's great, it's pretty fun, it's stupid." I don't know enough of the references they're making, but someone else out there does. This first episode goes kind of all over the place too, so it's like I think they're setting the groundwork for hope the rest of the series. Hopefully, they get the rest of the series. I don't know with the whole closure bit. Who knows? But I would assume they're going to finish this out. That was probably all done in the works beforehand. Uh, and yeah, it's all about time loops, as it were. So in a like Morty's in a VR headset, and essentially, it's made to be like perfect enough that you can consider it reality, as it were. So like a lot of the tropes of VR and anime, like you die in the game, you die in real life kind of thing, but not quite to that extent. But he's thanks to a MacGuffin, he's now going through multiple timelines or something. It's very jumbled. So it's not a very good first episode. Um, it's just setting the groundwork and there's not much else to say about it because it is a lot of speculation. It's one of those you'd have to go like scene by scene or like, little segments at a time. But there's at least probably 5 or 6 Mortys involved in different timeline kind of deal. And there may be references to the show that I just don't know because I haven't watched it for so long. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think they'd be smart enough to leave it mostly like isolated for people to come off and watch it fresh,
Mm,
and I guess I'm hopeful that the rest of the episodes will make better use of it. But once again, it's just really hard to tell right now. It's just too early. Uh, but hey, it's a thing that happens. So yeah, episode one, just saw it, and like I said, that opening, that's just the opening song and everything like that. It was, um, I appreciate it for what it was. A lot of references to stuff, and there's a lot of references in the episode to Rosebud, Citizen Kane. Yeah. So that was also a weird one that I wasn't expecting. But yeah. All right. So since I've spent a lot of time with family and my kids, we've been kind of just been on the Amazon Prime just streaming,
mm,
platform. And so I'm like, all right, let me see about there's a new Batman, Batman Cape Crusader. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I haven't seen a Batman cartoon in a very long time, specifically Batman. And I'm a fan of like Young Justice and so stuff. DC makes decent animated stuff.
yeah.
So give this one a shot. And This one, it's all right. I saw only one episode so far. The whole first season, I think, is out, and it's like 10 episodes or something like that. It goes for the old Batman the Animated Series like era vibe to it. So it's very much that 50s throwback, aesthetic. The buildings, everything, of course, still look the same. The His design is kind of simple, but not like overly simple. I know they've made them like super simple or super cartoony in other ones that I've missed, but this one, his like the emblem is a smaller size. He's not crazy bulky or anything like that. Um, Something I noticed was just his gloves. Just they stand out a little bit more. At least the cuff around his wrist. So it's just like it feels more like a in that respect like an actual costume. And the repurposing of the characters is kind of the big point of this. They instantly show Harvey Dent, but then they have was it Barbara Gordon? And she's a defense attorney,
Hmm.
so they make her an attorney instead. And uh, Jim Gordon is, he's still the good cop in the scene. Uh, they do change races though, so that's one of the things that And then they show the first episode is about the Penguin, and they make Penguin a female who's a cabaret owner, who's just like, "But showing this to my son, who doesn't know, he knows of Batman, doesn't really know too much about Batman, and like watching this, I'm like, wow, Batman is a psychopath, like straight up more than I joke about. It's just like, yeah, I guess if you think about it, if you're trying to just if you on pen and paper, if you're like he threatens to kill, the people he's interrogating, just like he hangs a dude upside down in front of a train to get information from him before the train comes. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty wrong. Later on, there's a car chase where Barbara Gordon has a witness who wants to testify, and then they're being chased by some goons. And my kid's like, "Are they the police? Are they the police officers?" I'm like, "Nope, those are bad guys." And then like they get chased into an alleyway, and they come out. My son's like covering his face, like kind of like doesn't want to look at the guys about to do murder. And then Batman just drifts in, hits the three thugs, just completely just smokes them. I mean, they're probably okay, taken to the hospital. And then he just like looks at Barbara Gordon and he's just like, "I'm out." He just drives away. I'm like, okay, hit and run. All
Look, Joe.
right.
Look. You want to make an omelet? You got to break some eggs. Okay. These are people that they deserve a special brand of justice, and Batman is here to deliver that extra special brand of justice.
Hey, dude, if Batman's willing to commit to the bit, then by all means. I mean, none of this halfway stuff, though. I mean, if you're gonna go full Punisher, then go full Punisher. I respect the Punisher for doing that. Just don't be like wish-washy and then change your mind or like, no, no, you can't do this. I'm like, no, it's like if you're gonna go all out.
Okay.
But like at the same time, it's just animated things for animated things' sake. But it's just like they stop the Penguin, and then he's like, wait, something else happened, which was a big thing, a big explosion. He's like, all right, instead of capturing you, I'm just gonna bounce. It's just like they make but yeah, they changed a few other characters. I mean, Alfred is a heavier set dude now, not completely like what was that? I forgot the bad cop, Bullock or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean, but yeah, Alfred is compared to all the iterations recently. He's a little more chunky. They made Lucius Fox his private lawyer instead of like the tech guy on team, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So they've changed a few things. But honestly, I'm kind of curious about this. At the same time, I'm like, yep, I guess there's PG-13 for a reason. This is a little too much for my dude, so I'll have to maybe come back to this later. But it was just super fun to have him watch, and he's just like, yeah, all right.
Just,
Uh,
just have him watch RoboCop and get it over with. Just
I know,
have
right?
just yeah, rip the
I mean,
band-aid off. Just you know, then
that's when
nothing will
he
be.
has to turn 5, okay? I watched RoboCop when I was 5 instead of watching Back to the Future 2 like everyone else.
Oh
Um,
no.
but I also got for Christmas I got the car and 2 motorcycles.
Nice.
Uh, because my family didn't talk about what they got me, so I'm like, "Oh, I got 2 motorcycles," and then I got to return one of them for the Turtles van.
That's pretty good.
So
It's a
yeah,
pretty good deal.
that was probably the best Christmas I had, like, up to the yeah, that was probably the best Christmas I
Your
had.
whole life.
5 years old. It peaked right there, just kinda
Oh
peaked.
gosh.
Um, well, with my family, I should say.
Joe, take the
Yeah.
gun out of your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, some scars, they need to stay there. That's why I try to do better for my kids. And I tell them no all the time when we go to the grocery store. Can we buy toys? No. This is not we're here for they have toys at the grocery store. We're not buying them.
That's how they get you, kids.
Uh
That's how they get you.
yeah. Well, let's see. The other since we've also there's a few other things we were watching that I got to watch, and that was every time this comes up, I have to talk about it, and I always think it's gonna get better, but it doesn't. And that's Netflix's crap show, the Kengan Ashura, fighting tournament anime. If you want to call it anime, it's really bad, like cell shadedness. It's just terrible. Um, and this time around, it's season two, part two. Uh, yeah, I'm surprised they're continuing to make these things. And on the vein of Baki the Grappler, but just a bunch of corporations have dudes fight for themselves, and on behalf of the corporation, winners take all kind of deal. Well, and so it's that meet like Enter the Dragon or something. So they're on this private island trying to figure out who's going to be the next leader of said association.
Hmm.
Uh,
Is the
I mean,
action
I
good?
forgot how ludicrous the story got because it had been so long, and I'm like, oh, that's right. This is just up its own butt so far.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why
and they
people watch Baki and Kingan and all that stuff.
no, but it doesn't like it's not even good for good. It's like I can understand if it's like there's over the top in a good way.
Mm.
Like, yeah, this is so ridiculous, but this is awesome because of that. I mean, people liked like Kinniku Man because of stuff like that, or like Dragon Ball even just because it's like, hey, it's like, yes, I know this dude's gonna be screaming for the next two episodes, but still, it's just what comes out is just like legendary. This is just like a wet fart. I mean,
Mm.
it's just that to the point
Like,
where
is
like
it boring? Like, is it just not? Is it
it's a little bit
just?
it's I personally think it's boring. I mean, I think they take too much time on stupid flashbacks that don't matter for people who you don't they're just a passing story arc. Like
Mm.
you're like, we got to give you a reason to care about this next fight. So let's waste time explaining about their backstory just a little, just enough. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't care because they're not going to matter in the end. They're just literally trash that you're going to throw. But you need to have fill out this combat arc. And then what they do is in the same episode or in an episode they'll be like, here's they're about to fight. Let's pause they start with a beginning. They jump to a little bit further to where the fight between these two people are about to happen, and then they go, "Let's do a flashback to what happened right before we fought." And like, wait, you couldn't show it in sequential order. You couldn't go from start to middle to end. You're like, no, let's go start to end. Let's rewind to the middle. And but they do that so they can have when they do these flashbacks, they don't animate these flashbacks. They do really, really garbage comic book, not quite comic book cutscenes, but it's just it's almost it's almost still animation, like still shots with like moving mouths and then like a panning camera over the shot. Like it is the most cheap way to try to progress your story. But they do it only with flashbacks, and they do enough of flashbacks to just mm, yeah, it's grating as hell. Uh, most definitely have something else to do, and like, play any phone game, have it in like second screen it, third screen it, whatever, and then just go to the major fights if you want to.
Mm.
It's one of those things that I just at this point, like I said, I was just kind of pot committed, and I'm like, I'm really curious what happens for the sake of I just want to know, like, there was a couple key interesting characters. And then they're like, yeah, let's just waste time watching this person go mental, like, oh yeah, I'm crazy for crazy's sake because and then they start pulling out like weird story plot threads like
Mm.
there's a second person, there was a third, like, wait, I don't care, it doesn't matter, it really doesn't, it's not going to affect the end game of this story, but you're making it more convoluted to make just for
It
padding.
just sounds like fluff.
um
Yeah, I was gonna say padding. So they're just putting stuff in there to make it to just pad out their story that there's not really there. I mean, like Baki, from what I understand, is like the right kind of crazy or the writer kind of crazy, where it's like, well, I didn't see that. I mean, like Barack Obama is a canonical character in Baki. I think
Multiple presidents are
I was
actually.
gonna say
So
multiple
that's
presidents, yeah. So like that, and then there's like weird explanations for why things are though, and they have like pickle and stuff like that, and it's sort of it's like conceptually, it's not for me, but I can understand why some people appreciate it, and it sounds to me like Kengan Ashura is sort of ripping off Baki and just not really doing it as well.
so I think the beginning half of Baki, the whatever, I don't even know what the comics go to, but as far as we'll just use the anime visual medium, the first portions were always good because it was the idea of quote unquote realistic fighters, you know, bringing the human body to to the extreme, having them fight it out.
Right.
Cool. That I can respect. It's like, it's like anything else. But then as Baki went on, then they got more mystical and bogus crap. They started getting like, we're gonna have you fight in a tournament, but now we're gonna have people use weapons, but only them, not the, it's just like because they're the bad guys and they're crazy. It's just like it got it jumped the shark in all the
Right.
wrong ways.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, is what it was. Before jumping the shark was like when it's just like a brawling thing. That's fine. But that's the problem when you have super like they becomes a superhero fight scene,
Mm.
or like mutant fight scene or whatever, like it just makes no sense, especially when you're what's the point if you're going to have the X-Men fight each other and then but you don't reveal their superpowers until mid-fight, and then you're going to give a
Yeah.
flashback of their fights or how they got the powers, and it's just like no, that is a waste of time and ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why I actually like the beginning portion of King and Ashura originally. I think like was because it was more of just a pure fight thing. Yes, they each one had different martial arts. Like, dude who does Muay Thai, another one's who's a boxer, stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. You're literally just uh, doing Enter the Dragon, but with instead of individuals, of course want the fighters want to be the best of the best and see who's ranking. But now you have the corporations backing them,
Yeah.
and like that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that because you know what? That's as crazy as that is. That's also the most plausible thing of like, um, it's billionaire fight club essentially is all it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's fine. And then later on, the latter bit, have stuff like they start to be like, we tapping into superhuman powers and attack. Oh, like that's when you start getting, you're trying to up the ante, and you have no other way to up the ante, other than being like, he's unlocked his entire brain like potential, and now he can surpass his human limits because of blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. You know
Yeah.
what? Also did the same thing about surpassing human body limits. Like I was at Orewa Zombie Deska.
Mm.
Like they talked about surpassing human limits too, and that was stupid anime as well. But at least that was funny and ridiculous, and it made Nick go, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
That was I kind of wore like that became your lunch thing. Like whenever you came by for lunch, like I would show you a new episode of that one, and like that was super stupid. But granted, that's the right kind of stupid. These go from grounded reality-ish, plausible, to just, and then it warps into this fantasy thing, and I just have a problem with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too
So
bad.
once again, don't waste your time with it unless if you really like fighting tournament animes. If that's your jam, you know, then sure. Uh, Also, if you really like bad animation, because I think it's terrible. Um, let's see. Then got to finish up the Go Go Lose Rangers. I was originally watching this, subbed, and then somewhere along the lines, just life got in the way. I just lost track of it, didn't get to watch it, and then they ended up dubbing the whole thing, and I just finally finished the dub. Um, so this one was essentially the idea of the henchman for a Sentai, like fighting, superhero drama. So it's like you got the Power Rangers equivalent, and there's always the bosses, but then you got literally the underling, the foot soldiers, the Foot Clan, whatever, like the Putty Men, whatever. Like every show has some sort of the mindless peon
Hmm.
underling, and so one of them finally like has enough and wants to infiltrate the heroes to become a ranger and like destroy them from the inside. And he's super weak. uh, you think it's going to be more like lighthearted and comedy esque, and it kind of is in the beginning, but it goes places. Actually, it's like it surprised me. It got dark, and they were willing to do things, and I was like, that's pretty awesome. It very much leaves you up for like open to like this isn't the story isn't finished. You got season two coming out, kind of deal. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but they do like a to be continued type of thing at the end. Um, but it does actually have at least they finished an arc, so it's not like just a complete cliffhanger, and I genuinely liked it. I mean, once again, it did a lot more than I expected. Still left a few questions, but a solid watch, especially if you're a fan of like any if you have any nostalgia or any thoughts on like the Power Rangers types formula.
Mm.
So yeah,
So it's pretty good.
uh, yeah, I liked it. I was genuinely surprised when like they're willing to take out people, cast members and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that most definitely one dude got done dirty," and I'm like, "Did not expect that." And it's just like, "All right, the story is, you know, darker than expect or like, more mature than expected, I suppose. Maybe not mature, but it's all superhero stuff." So, but it was like I said, it was neat, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, uh, totally, I like if I was thinking it was gonna be, like, lighthearted, and it wasn't as much, so alright.
Good deal.
Well,
All right.
yeah, if you guys made it this far, well, that's great, and thank you. This has been another Dead Pixel, episode 88. Nick, as always, what are the words of wisdom to take these people out on?
Um, you should always, uh, you should always recycle everything that you can, whether you're supposed to or not.
You didn't do that in Hawaii. That's because
You,
everything got
not
thrown in the
me.
same bin.
You, y'all. This is advice for
Do as I
y'all.
say, not as I do, you know?
Yeah, do
Yes.
as I say, not as I do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do that in Japan either. Oh. Anyway, that's
You
it.
got Alright. Well, thanks, guys, and until next time, take it easy.
Bye.